Welcome into episode 11 of the Educational Duct Tape Podcast. Today I'm joined by my buddy Amy Roediger, and we'll be discussing Classkick, the Answer Pad, Pear Deck, Nearpod, Google Drawings, and Quizlet Diagrams. Plus, penguins, peacocks, Archimedes, and levers. Stay tuned.
Hi, I'm Amber Harper, host of the Burned In Teacher Podcast, a proud member of the Education Podcast Network, just like the podcast you're listening to right now. The opinions expressed are those of the individual hosts. Be sure to check out our other podcasts at edupodcastnetwork.com and get ready because the learning begins in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the Educational Duct Tape Podcast with Jake Miller.
Welcome in, friends. How are you all doing today? I'm so glad that so many of you duct tapers are back again. And for our new friends, welcome to the party. I hope that you enjoy this show and come back every week to learn from my awesome guests. That's really what I'm doing. I learn so much from these awesome people who are nice enough to take some time out to talk with me on this show, and I think that you will too. Speaking of learning from others, Flipgrid is currently hosting a great learning opportunity, their second annual App Smash Madness. You can check it out at flipgrid.com/AppSmash2019. Me and 15 other educators have shared some innovative ways to app smash different edtech tools and educational strategies with Flipgrid to benefit students. Each week, the votes are counted up, and half of the participants are eliminated until we end with the year's App Smash champ. I've tried to convince them to purchase an actual App Smash championship belt, WWF style, but we'll see if they do that. I just want to be all like Macho Man, like, ooh, yeah, Hulk Hogan, my App Smash. I don't do a very good Macho Man, I'm sorry. Who I really want to be is the Ultimate Warrior, actually. It goes really well with my 80s music that I've got playing in the show here, huh? Regardless, the real important thing here is the learning, and there's lots to learn from here. 15 really awesome App Smash ideas, and mine, which is a dud compared to the other ones, but still, there are 16 total videos there. 15 of them are good, and then there's mine. Also, at that link, flipgrid.com/AppSmash2019, there's what they call the open court, which is a spot for the rest of you to submit your own App Smashes and share them with everybody else. Next up, another reminder about my GIF a Day project. In this new endeavor, I'll be sending daily gifts to subscribers who pay a small fee to make large learning profits. I hope to launch the first learning opportunity in April, and it'll be about Google Sheets. If you're interested, you can sign up at jakemiller.net/gifaday, GIFADAY, to be notified when registration opens. If this is your first episode of the show, you may want to jump back to last week's for a longer explanation of this project. But again, jakemiller.net/gifaday. You could say GIF a day if you want, but it's spelled with a G, so it better be said GIF a day. Yeah, you're welcome to have your own opinion. Next, a reminder, the best way to avoid FOMO, JGAEDT, or fear of missing out on Jake's gifts and educational duct tape, is to sign up. Maybe that's not a great acronym there. It's to sign up for my newsletter. I'll stick that link in the show notes, but you can get to it at jakemiller.net/newsletter. I send one out every couple weeks. It updates you on what shows have been released, what gifts I've made, as well as what conferences I'll be at and where I'll be presenting and where you could meet up and give me a fist bump and a high five and get a sticker from me. Okay, enough about news and updates. Before I climb up on the soapbox that I keep under my desk, a reminder that at the end of the show, I'll be sharing some of my favorite #EDU duct tape tweets, the new tweeters for this week, some listener content from the Educational Duct Tape Flipgrid community, and an Apple Podcast review. I look forward to that part every week. So many kind and generous duct tapers out there. If you want to hear your voice or your name or your Twitter handle mentioned on the show in the future, those are some great different ways to do it. Tweet about the show at #EDU duct tape, or send out an Apple Podcast review, or hop onto that Flipgrid community that you can find at eduducttape.com and share some of your thoughts or a question, and you have a very good chance of being mentioned on the show in next week's episode or in the very near future. Oh, sorry. Hold on. Let me just grab my soapbox from over here. Yeah. There we go. That's perfect. Climb up on there. A few weeks ago, I wrapped up a series of soapbox segments about the student-paced STEM course that I used to teach, and you thought it was over. But guess what? It's back! So you probably thought that at some point everything was perfect in that class. Nope. It's the perfection asymptote. That's a reference for the mathematicians out there. Anyhow, what this means is you can get closer and closer and closer to perfect, but you'll never quite get there. And it's true in the classroom for sure. You can always get better and always grow. For me, I found my next step in my growth from a beard and a pair of glasses. Like if I've ever heard of a hook, it's guess what I learned from a beard and a pair of glasses. In that student-paced course, there were a lot of videos, right? That was the way I gave a lot of instructions to kids because the kids got to different activities at different times. So I couldn't just give them the instructions live and in person each time. It had to be recorded so that whenever they were ready for that activity, my instructions were ready for them. So I recorded a lot of videos for them. Now, for those of you that record videos for your classes, you've probably realized the same thing I do. Your students are not incredibly likely to watch your videos. So I tried a lot of different things to make my kids watch my videos. I would actually often record the videos from my playroom in my house where my kids' toys were. And at varying spots in the video, I would suddenly start playing with my kids' toys or wear a goofy hat from out of my kids' dress-up bin or do part of the screencast in a Chewbacca mask. But still, the kids weren't even watching the videos to get to those goofy things I would do to try to keep them interested. And it's because, they're middle schoolers and listening to some old dude drone on about STEM for 15 minutes at a time was difficult. But in certain situations, I had to give those instructions. So like one project that we did in the class was building basswood bridges. So the kids had to plan a bridge. It had to meet certain requirements and fit inside of a certain build envelope and have certain aspects to it so they could be tested appropriately. And they had to understand how to use the X-Acto knives they would use to cut the wood in the project. So I really needed the students to understand some information. So I recorded a video about it. And one particular day, a kid walked up to me in class and said, "Mr. Miller, I'm ready to build my bridge." And I said, "Okay, great." And he said, "Oh, can I have my wood and my X-Acto knife?" And I said, "Well, first you've got to show me your plan for your bridge so I could tell you if the bridge plan meets the requirements for the design. And then, yes, then you can have the X-Acto knife and the wood." And he said, "What plan? I don't have a plan." Why is this my kid voice? This is why does my 13-year-old kid voice sound like an old man who runs a summer camp somewhere in the woods? Anyhow, so I said, did you watch the video? And he said, "Yeah, I watched the video. Of course I watched the video." And I said, "Well, then where's your plan?" And he said, I don't, what plan? And I said, "The plan that I talked about in the video." And he gave me this weird look. And I said, "You didn't watch my video where I gave the instructions." And he said, "Yeah, I did." And I said, No, I'm pretty sure you didn't, because if you had watched the video, you'd have a plan to show me that shows that you understand the type of bridge that we're building here and the choices that you have in what you're building." And he said, "Oh, yeah, I watched it." And I said, but you don't have a plan." And he said, "Oh, yeah, right. I thought I'd get the materials first." And I said, "But I told you in the video, you have to do the plan first and then you get the materials." And I asked him a question. So first I got to give you a little backstory here. At this time, when this young man was in my class, it was the spring of that school year. And it used to be that I would have a beard during the winter, and I would shave it off in the spring. And of course, first I would shave most of the beard off and take pictures of myself with fun mustaches, and then I'd shave it all the way off. Nowadays, I'm just beard all year round. But at this particular point when the student had me in class, it was the spring, so I had no beard. Right? And it was also the year where I had LASIK eye surgery, so I had no glasses, no contacts as well. But at the time that I recorded the video, you see, it was the winter, and I had a beard. Not only that, but it was a couple weeks before my LASIK eye surgery, so I had to wear my glasses all the time leading up to that surgery. I couldn't wear my contacts. So in the video that this student claimed he had watched, I had a beard and glasses. But here I stood in front of the student, no beard, no glasses. So I said to him, "All right, what did I look like in the video?" And his friend was in the background. This is so classic. I can still picture it. His friend's in the background, waving his hand, saying, "Beard, glasses, beard, glasses." But he doesn't hear him. And his answer, well, first he gives me this look like, "What?" But his answer is the best answer I could ever imagine him saying. And this is, I am not changing this story for your benefit. This is exactly what he said to me. He said, You looked handsome. So classic. I can't believe he said handsome. And I was like, well, thank you. But no, like, did I look different from how I look now? And he said, no, you look the same way you look now, exactly the same. And I said, there was nothing different about me. He says, well, nothing. You were wearing different clothes, but there was nothing different about you. And I said, nothing different about my face in the video. He says, no, you look like you. And I said, there was nothing at all different in this area. And I gestured towards my beard, and he said, no, looked like you. And I said, well, or here. And I gestured towards my eyes. He said, no, you look like you. And I said, was I wearing glasses in the video? And he said, no, you weren't wearing glasses. You don't wear glasses, Mr. Miller. And I said, yeah, well, in that video, I did wear glasses. He was like, oh, why would you wear glasses in the video? And I said, did I have a beard in the video? And he said, Mr. Miller, you don't have a beard. Well, in the video, I had a beard. And then I showed him the video, and sure enough, I had a beard and glasses. So I realized that for whatever reason, middle school students didn't watch my videos. But what it all came down to was this E plus R equals O that I've talked about before. The O that I needed, the outcome that I needed, was for my students to understand my expectations for their bridge building project, to understand how to plan their bridge, to come to me and show me a plan, and then to understand how to appropriately use an X-Acto knife, what the safety protocols were, and start using it. I needed them to gain that all from the video. So that was the O I wanted. The E was that middle school students were unlikely to watch videos recorded by their teachers. I can't control that. That's the E. So I had to determine an R that would take that E and get me to that O. So I decided I had two different choices, right? One was to make super well-produced, hysterical, really engaging, suspenseful videos that my kids were going to be compelled to watch, like something that would be on Netflix. And that's not realistic. So the second choice was to find a way to, you hate to do this because you really want to empower your students to want to do things and to be intrinsically motivated to do things. But in this situation, I just had to force them to watch the videos because in this situation, that was my only choice. So what I used in that point in time was called Zaption. Zaption is gone nowadays. For those of you listeners who know Zaption, you know how heartbroken I was when Zaption went away. The closest to equivalent to Zaption nowadays is EdPuzzle. So what I would do in Zaption today in EdPuzzle is take the video that I had recorded and at certain points in the video build in questions. Now, in a content area classroom, those questions would be formative assessment in nature. They would be based on what they had previously seen in the video to determine if they comprehended it before they moved on to the next point. So the teacher could then go back and look at that data. In my specific instance here, I just wanted to make sure this kid knew how to use an X-Acto knife. I wanted to make sure that he knew that he was supposed to have a plan. I wanted to make sure that he knew that he was supposed to figure out the side lengths of all the portions of the bridge before he started cutting them. I wanted to make sure he understood the directions. I wanted to make sure that I knew that he had watched the video. But in most classrooms, it's for actually making sure they understand content. But Zaption, back in the day, EdPuzzle, today, are the perfect tool for doing that. What they do is you build in questions at certain points in the video, you send it out to students, they watch them, and then as the teacher, you get back data to see if they watched it, how many times they watched each segment of it, as well as if they got questions right or wrong, so that you could provide follow-up instruction to the students who needed it. We actually mentioned this a couple episodes back about how you could build this into your classroom to do some formative assessment as you go. I believe it was in episode 5 with Alex Orris. I'm not really sure. That, my friends, is educational duct tape, right? I went from recording these videos that gave kids instructions, discovering that they weren't watching the videos, and saying, but I need them to watch the videos, and then going, you know what? What I'll have to do is make them watch the videos, and EdPuzzle did that for me. I wish that they were just empowered and driven and motivated to do it themselves, but in this situation, I needed to find a way to do it, and fortunately for me, educational duct tape to the rescue. Zaption helped me, and nowadays in your classrooms, EdPuzzle can help you. And actually, there's an alternative to EdPuzzle out there called PlayPosit, and PlayPosit can totally help you in this situation as well. Same general principle. You take a video that's on YouTube or another platform, you embed questions, instructions, reminders, notes, and especially prompts to make sure the students understand the content into the video. And then as a teacher, you get back that data. And as a student, they get a little bit of self-assessment as they're going through it. And that, my friends, is educational duct tape at its finest. And this is the end of my story of the student-paced STEM course. Or is it? Let's get to our guest.
Today's guest.
Today's guest is Amy Roediger. Amy is a national board certified science teacher and instructional coach with the Mentor Schools in Mentor, Ohio, and an adjunct instructor at Lake Erie College. She coaches competitive speech and debate, loves to read, and plays the baritone sax. She writes about her educational ventures in her blog, A Lever and a Place to Stand. You could follow Amy on Twitter at Amy Roediger. That's Amy, Roediger, or check out her blog at aleverandaplacetostand.blogspot.com. And as usual, those will both be in the show notes. How's it going today, Amy?
Really good. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to do this today.
Oh, yeah, it's a blast having you in. So Amy and I have known each other for umpteen years. I think it's been umpteen or umpteen and a half.
Exactly, umpteen, yeah.
Umpteen. Yeah, we met at local tech conferences here in the Ohio area and have hung out and bonded over a love of nerdiness and educational technology, right?
Yep, absolutely.
That sounds right. I'm a little bit nervous today because I neither coach nor have done speech and debate. And so I'm worried that we're going to get into a debate and you're going to crush me today. Do you promise not to crush me?
I do promise not to, but I will say that you have a very clear speaking voice and excellent diction. So you're off to a great start.
Nice. I'm good at the speech part, not the debate part. Like I will like shrink if you try to debate with me right now. I'll be like, I'm sorry, Amy, you're right. That's the best educational technology. I was wrong.
As a debate coach, I probably am a good example of those who can't teach, because as a debater, I think I would fall apart. I need some think time to reflect, and that's not often possible in a debate round. But I would have been okay at the speech side, but not so much the debate side, I don't think.
Oh, good. Okay, I'm not as scared of you now.
You're safe.
I'm safe. Okay, so I've also got to ask you, Amy, about your blog title. It is A Lever and a Place to Stand.blogspot.com. So where's that title come from?
So actually, a lot of people know Archimedes, the famous Greek philosopher and mathematician, for a story where he submerges a crown in a bathtub to find out that it's actually made of gold, and evidently runs naked through the town screaming Eureka. But in another story that is also related to Archimedes, he uses a lever to launch a ship into the sea and then proclaims, "Give me a lever and a place to stand, and I can move the earth," or something like that. And I actually first heard that anecdote in a speech that was one of the best ones I've ever heard by one of the best teachers I've ever known. And it just really stuck with me. And she encouraged us in that speech to find our place to stand and get our lever and start changing the world. So it's just a blog about the things I try, some of them successful, some of them not so much. But I really love that story and sort of thinking about what are the things that I'm using to lever what I'm doing, and where am I standing on issues, and what am I attempting to do?
I love that. That's such a perfect name for a blog, and kind of for like a mission statement of what it is you're trying to do, right, as an educator.
That's what I'm going for anyway. It is awfully long to type out, but hopefully people type it once and bookmark it because it's so great, and then they don't have to remember anything more than the title. Yep.
That's what I bookmarked it. It's right there on my bookmarks bar. I can see it right from here.
Yay!
It takes up half of my bookmarks bar. A lever and a no. Don't worry, I shrunk it down. It just says Amy.
Yeah, there's a whole GIF you do on using an emoji or a symbol so that you don't have to type the whole title. So I know for sure you were just saying that.
Correct. I actually am waiting for them to add a lever emoji so that could be the symbol for your blog on
that would be perfect.
On my bookmarks. So I have two clarifying questions to ask about that Archimedes story. Number one, was he naked when he was launching that ship into the sea?
Well, I don't think there's photographic evidence of that, but I think it just was that when he was in the bathtub submerging a crown, you have to ask yourself some questions about someone who's in a bathtub with the king's crown. But I think he was naked because he was so excited as he jumped from the bathtub, he ran through the town. So I'm guessing the ship launching did not take place after a bath.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question: is who has a crown in the
right
in the bath with them? What is this guy doing?
Right. I think it was like the king wants to know, is the crown really gold or have I been swindled? And so Archimedes is trying to figure that out and eventually takes the crown into the bathtub, submerges it. It displaces the right amount of water for its density. And then, eureka, I'm naked with a crown.
Right, but why did he have to be naked? I don't know. Archimedes, that's...
You think he might have just stood outside the bathtub to submerge the crown, but I don't know. He was wearing it and then had a great idea about submerging it. Not really sure on that.
That's what, yeah, I would have probably worn a towel at least around myself while I did that.
One would hope, right? Yeah.
One would hope. Okay, so now as if we haven't been goofy and giggly enough already, let's play a quick game before we get into educational technology. So we're going to play a bit of, I can't tell you the real name of it because I believe it's protected by copyright and I'd have to pay like $35 per episode to say it.
Okay.
So I'm going to call this game, which of these things do you consider to be less torturous?
Wow.
Okay, are you in?
Copyrighted because it just rolls off the tongue.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly. How has Milton Bradley not used that for a game yet?
Right, exactly.
Which of these things do you consider to be less torturous?
Okay, so first up, which of these things do you consider to be less torturous? Having a peacock's body or a penguin's head?
Wow, that is tough.
Right?
Peacock's body or penguin's head? I think a penguin's head would be less torturous.
Because you'd be adorable, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, absolutely. And they're just like from the head up, they're pretty cute. A peacock's body, like the feathers are nice, but you don't really get those if you're the girl peacock. So
oh yeah,
that seemed like a drag. So yeah, I would definitely rather have the penguin's head.
I'm sorry to bring up this gender inequality issue here with peacock.
Just like the birds, they really like it's like that with the genders. Now, I don't know what noise a penguin makes, but like with the head, would I also get the sound bite? Because what I wouldn't want to sound like is a peacock. I know that. Right.
I think you get the sound. I think you get the, what do they call it in the movie Happy Feet, where you have like your heart song or whatever.
Oh yeah, 100% penguin's head for the win.
I was thinking penguin's head because I think like, do they have like 180-degree rotational ability? Like, can't they turn like almost all the way around?
It seems like they can. I was thinking penguin's head, and I know it probably, like, I've never touched a penguin. It's a bird, so it probably feels like feathers, right? But in my head, it feels like, I want to say neoprene. Maybe as a chemistry teacher, I know what that is. Do you?
Yeah. I think because of the swimming, I think it probably is super smooth, right?
I would like to feel that way, like super smooth like that. Like a rubbery head.
You would just cut right through the water when you were swimming.
Except for the rest of my body, which would stink like a stone.
You wouldn't be very good at speech and debate, though, with a penguin head.
That's true.
Okay, so second, let's get halfway into educational technology. Let's dip our toe in the water here. Not our penguin head, just our toe. Would you rather have to go back to? Oh my gosh, I said it, Amy. Did you hear that?
I didn't realize the game was still afoot. Okay, what would be less torturous?
Which of these things do you consider to be less torturous? Going back to Netscape Navigator as your browser, or going back to dial-up as your internet connection?
Oh, those are equally torturous. Okay,
right.
I guess Netscape Navigator would be less torturous because at least I would have good internet, even though I wouldn't have a good way to access it.
I think I agree with you, but I might just quit using the internet if I have to do either of these things.
Yeah, it might be like go back to tin cans on a string. Might be
Right. Because can you imagine using Chrome on dial-up? That would be rough.
It'd be awful.
Okay. I'm just going to quit. I'm just done. I would podcast is over. Like nothing. I'm done with educational technology. No more gifts ever. Sorry. I had to go back to dial-up or Netscape Navigator and I just quit.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm just done. Okay, let's talk some legit educational technology now. So first up is my question. Actually, you know what? First, I should remind our listeners, we're up to 27 this week. Did you know that, Amy? 27 listeners?
That's, it's more than that. Come on.
It's okay. I lied. It's 28.
Without seeing all kinds of people bragging about your amazing podcast. So
there's 28, but there are 3 or 4 of those are new people this week. So I'm going to tell them what educational duct tape is just in case.
Perfect.
So educational duct tape is my weird metaphor that educational technology is at its most useful when it is used as a tool to address a problem, meet a goal, or solve a problem, or address a need in the classroom. Much like duct tape is never our goal to use, but it is extremely powerful when it's used as a tool to solve problems. So my first question is, how can students label diagrams digitally?
So I'm going to talk about 3 tools, and I'll try and do it quickly because I know the 28 listeners of the podcast don't want to spend all day with me. But I really like Classkick and Nearpod for similar reasons. So in both of those, you can drop in a diagram and type in some instructions, have students label the diagram. And what I like about both of those is they give you the ability to watch your students work in real time, which I think is really neat. So Classkick is just a bunch of white slides that you can do whatever you want with, diagrams, text. You can record messages in them. And then you can watch the students as they work. And in Classkick, you can get in the slide with the student to offer them help.
Whoa.
And other students can do that too, which I think is really powerful, especially if you have like a really detailed diagram and students are struggling to sort of see what you want them to see. You could circle a component of it and say, you know, like with an arrow, what do you think this is or whatever. So I really like Classkick for that reason. Nearpod does that in a similar way. You can put drawings into Nearpod and then ask students to, again, label them. You can't jump onto the slide with them. So Classkick, I think, has that as a slight advantage, but Nearpod is such an amazing tool that it's a terrific one for that too.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last one is the tool that I can't make it through a day without using, which is Google Drawings. So if I wasn't interested in using Classkick or Nearpod, I don't have time to learn a new tool, but I'm already a pretty savvy Google user. I just think Google Drawings is so robust. You can just pop an image in there and create the lines for the students to label. Something I didn't know about Google Drawings until a couple of years ago is when you share a drawing with students or, you know, with whoever, the gray space outside the canvas gets shared as well as the canvas. I guess I thought people would be able to see the canvas, but not the area around it. So you could put the text for the labels in text boxes, and then it almost becomes like a drag and drop tool for students to use. And I think, you know, it's free. Everybody has access to it. So I think that one is really robust too.
Yeah, I love Google Drawings as well. So when you said it, I was like back here going like, amen, sister. But I wonder if people don't realize the power in that gray space around that canvas in Google Drawings. What's cool about it is, so number one, the teacher can share it out like you're saying, and that stuff could be there and the kids could drag it in or drag it out or whatever. But then if they were to like say export their creation as a picture file, then that gray space doesn't go with it. So it's not part of like the final file, but it's there operationally, if that makes sense, you know?
No, yeah, that's really cool because you could give everyone in your class a drawing and they could label it and then they could export it and turn it in through Classroom or something like that. And then the teacher's seeing just the part that the kids did. That's awesome.
Right, totally. So I've never used Classkick before. I've heard of Classkick, but I've never used it. So that one sounds really awesome. I want to try it out. What does it do aside from the drawings, or is it just the drawings?
No. So it's when you go in and you create a Classkick assignment, it starts off as just one white slide, but you can add, you know, as many slides as you want. And you can put whatever you want on the slides. So you can type directions, you can put a drawing, you could put a graphic organizer, you can record a message. So students don't even have to be able to read. They can just, you know, click a button and they can hear your message. So pretty much anything that you can put on a slide, you can put into a Classkick slide. And then you farm it out with a code to your students. And then while they're working, you can see just a slide where every student is working so that you can literally watch them as they work. Neat.
Okay, so I'm going to put a link to their site into the show notes, as I always do. But as soon as you go to their site, you could see an example screen there. And it shows an iPad screen. Is it work on all devices, though?
Yep, it's device agnostic. So Chromebooks, laptops, iPads, they've got an app. And it's really easy to use and very powerful. I love that you can give students the ability to help other students.
Oh, that is really rad.
And like, there's a little virtual hand that you wave, and then a teacher or a student can see that someone has put their virtual hand up, and then they can assist the person. And the thing that I love best, this is so clever, is that when someone is asking for help, they're asking anonymously, but when someone is helping, the person who's being helped can see who's helping them. So
cool.
If I say I need help, what you would see is like a bumbling bear needs your help. But then when you're helping me, I could see Jake Miller is helping you. So I think that's really cool because the person who's being helped knows who to thank if they want to do that. But it wouldn't be like, oh, let's not help Amy. Whatever. So that's a really clever way that it's anonymous, but not.
Yeah. And Amy doesn't have to be embarrassed, right, that she's asking for help.
Exactly. I don't have to feel badly about putting my hand up. I've had students who are on the autism spectrum who wouldn't speak to me, but would be happy to put their digital hand up and receive help from me in a digital way. So that was a really powerful use of it in my classroom.
Oh, super cool. So the downside of using Classkick would be, I'm guessing it's not like auto grading in any way because it's not like a multiple choice. It literally is just like a blank slide, right?
They do have an auto grading feature, and there's auto grading available for free. But if you want to lock something after you've graded it, that's in their premium plan. Their free plan is pretty robust, though. It has a lot of great things.
So you could put in a question and the kids can actually click on answers?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so I misspoke there. So the teacher can go back and grade. You can award things points. I'm not sure they auto grade yet. Oh, no. You know what? I'm looking on their website. It says create fill in the blanks with multiple answers for your assignments that can be instantly auto graded. Yeah, it's a really cool tool.
Yeah, I'm going to be checking this out for sure. But obviously the main power here is if you want to do something that has like really leverages like student creativity and students having different answers, right? Because you can actually see them kind of creating something, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Even if students were just like, writing the introduction to their multi-paragraph essay or something like that, it's cool to be able to just sort of like lurk over their shoulder just by looking into your device and seeing what they're doing. I don't know. I think it's a really neat tool.
Yeah, super awesome. I like that a lot. So Google Drawings is what used to be my go-to answer for this. And then I kind of added Nearpod and Pear Deck, which we'll talk about more in a little bit, into my answers for this, my answer options. Classkick, I'm now adding to my answer choices for this. But I always liked Google Drawings because, number one, teacher can make the drawing and then send it out in Google Classroom, so it makes the copies for all the students. Mm-hmm. And the teacher could just put in like rectangles labeling each spot, and the students just double click on that rectangle and type in the answer text, and then it comes right back to the teacher to grade, right?
Yeah.
And especially now with the newer version of Classroom where you kind of open up the first kid in alphabetical order to grade and then just click that forward arrow and go through all of them, the grading process now is even easier because before it would be a little bit of a pain to have to open all those drawings.
Yeah. So powerful.
Yeah, I'm going to add a fourth to the mix here with my answer. Not that we need a different one because those ones are awesome, but Quizlet, which is a popular tool out there, has Quizlet Diagrams. It came out a little bit over a year ago, and I haven't heard much talk about it. I don't see much press about it or people talking about using it, but it's just like regular Quizlet, whereas regular Quizlet is you put in the front of the index card, the word, and the back of the flashcard, the definition. Quizlet Diagrams lets you do the term and the definition and place it onto a diagram. So if you're a biology teacher or something like that, you can label a certain organ or whatever it might be, say what the name of it is, show where it is, and show what it does. And then you could choose when the student is studying from it, what are they trying to do? Are they trying to identify what goes where or what serves what's purpose?
Very cool.
Yeah, and that's in the free version, the diagrams. You can make the diagrams. The paid version of Quizlet lets you do more items in the diagram. I don't know what the number of things is. So in the free version, you can only have a set number of terms per diagram, and in the paid version, I think it's unlimited. And then the other thing that you get in the paid version is the ability to play Quizlet Live, which is an awesome game, with the diagrams. Currently, if you're free, you could play Quizlet Live with just regular terms and definitions, but you cannot play that with the diagrams.
Sometimes people complain about that as a strategy, but I actually love it when companies do that because it gives you a chance to sort of test drive something and see if it would be worth it for you to pay for the premium.
Yeah.
So using the diagrams, you sort of see, but like maybe I could use more terms or whatever, then you would know, okay, I would use enough to justify the cost or whatever.
Yep. And I think, these companies have to operate somehow. There has to be somebody on the other end running the company. So, we're so disappointed when we have to pay, but I mean, like how else are they supposed to handle this?
I made that point last year. It was almost a year ago, right? When Padlet rolled out their pricing structure and people were so angry. And it's like, well, you can't they have to make the tool. That takes work of people who have to be paid. So if it's worth it, we pay for it.
Right. I think they, their situation, I think they could have handled it better, but I was on their side. I was like, if you need money to operate the tool,
right.
Why are we complaining? You need money. And if the tool's that important to us, then we should find the funds to pay for it. And if it's not that important to us, we should stop complaining and walk away.
Right. Absolutely.
And I feel the same way about tools like Quizlet and stuff. I think, thinking about these 4 tools, I probably like Quizlet Diagrams the least of the 4 because it is the lowest DOK level knowledge here, where it really is just matching term to spot on the diagram or definition. Whereas with Nearpod and Classkick, you're potentially even drawing the things and stuff like that. And same thing in Google Drawings, and actually placing them. So it's not just like a given location. You might be dragging the box to where it goes. So a little bit deeper knowledge involved and more flexibility involved in that, but still Quizlet with the ability for the kids to then study it at home, and attach those terms in their mind to a picture. And actually last week in the episode Matt Miller was on, he talked about dual coding theory, and he talked about how if we retain more knowledge from an activity if we're viewing text and imagery. So we then have both of those pieces of our mind are operating together, and we're more likely to retain it. Nice. So any of these 4 options are going to help our kids learn and retain knowledge more.
Sure. Yeah. And I mean, you have to start somewhere, right? So there is a point where just knowing what's the word that matches with the place on the diagram is a really important skill so that you can go to that next level.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so now let's jump on to a new question. Even though we've already nailed 4 different things in that one, let's keep it going. So this one you get to ask. Go ahead.
Okay, so my question is, if you're in the middle of a lesson and you realize I need a formative assessment tool right now for on-the-spot course correction, like my lesson is going wrong, or my students are really quiet, I'm not knowing, what's your go-to? What do you use in the moment to just quickly formatively assess so that you can make whatever course corrections you need to?
Yeah, so I'm going to give a dual answer here, and I do think with both of these answer options, I'm skating past part of your question here, which is that neither of these tools are super easy to just mid-lesson go I'm going to use this right now. I need to do this quick formative assessment here. It doesn't take extra time. My first answer is Pear Deck, and I love Pear Deck. And I'm not saying it's not easy to use. I'm just saying if you're 20 minutes into a lesson and you're not using Pear Deck in that lesson previously, and you suddenly decide you need that formative assessment, which is that's something that happens. Pear Deck might not be the best option, but if you're fluent in using Pear Deck, it's possible to open it up and just drag in a question type. It's not difficult to use. So if you're using it, I think it's realistic if you're a Pear Deck user to use it on the fly. So Pear Deck has an add-on that works with Google Slides. So you develop your slides and then you run the add-on, and then you could just drag in these different question formats. So there's a free and a paid version with Pear Deck as well. So the free versions have text questions, number response questions, multiple choice questions, and a web slide question, which means go to a certain place on the web. So you can get a short answer. You can get, which of these numbers do you matches your answer, or you could get multiple choice answers. So that's really good formative assessment data. If you have the paid version, the premium version, or if your school has the premium version, then that adds in the draggable slides where you could say drag your icon to the one that you agree with. A little bit easier to quickly visualize that formative assessment data, but you could still do it just fine with the free version. But again, it goes back to what we're saying. If you become a teacher who's using Pear Deck every single day in your classroom, then you could certainly take that data and that proof to your administrators and ask for that membership. And it's not out of the ordinary for them to pay for something like that. But then Nearpod would be the alternative to that. They really are very similar tools. They're both wonderful tools. If a teacher is using Pear Deck, they're doing a great thing for their kids. If they're using Nearpod, they're doing a great thing for their kids. There are pros and cons to both of them. But I think they're both great. So in Nearpod, similarly, you could have quizzes, you could have polls, you could have open-ended questions. So really good formative assessment data. But I don't think it's quite the in your question, you were almost implying quick and dirty, I need data right now. So what tool would you use that's going to get you that data right now?
Well, the tool that I would use is the AnswerPad, and you can find it at theanswerpad.com. And they also have apps for mobile devices, device agnostic, works on any device. So it works in a lot of different ways. It does a lot of different things. But the thing that I like best is like a quick interactive. So just with a 5-letter code, kids, theanswerpad.com, and put in those 5 letters. And now as a teacher, I can just instantly send out a whole lot of different kinds of slides. Thumbs up, thumbs down, yes, no, true, false, multiple choice, drawing, screen, all kinds of things. And students quickly answer in the screen, hit submit. And as a teacher, I can see right away, oh, here's everyone's graph that they just quickly sketched. And then I can even share some back with the students, give them feedback, project one for all of us to talk about. There's a Likert scale that goes from red to green. So you can ask students just, how are you feeling about this content? And everyone can send you a colored square. And then you can just glance down at your device and see like, it's all green, we're good to go, or a lot of yellow and red. Maybe we need to, readdress some things. So I think the AnswerPad is a really robust tool. You can, sort of think ahead and have like maybe a slides presentation and then you're running AnswerPad in the background to get feedback. But it's really easy to just, okay, everybody grab your device, theanswerpad.com. Here's the 5-letter code. Let's quickly interact. I just love that tool.
Yeah. And I think you could do that too with PearDeck and Nearpod, but I do agree that the AnswerPad makes it a little bit, I don't know, maybe the word's easy or more convenient to do that. It's not quite as robust as the other 2 tools, but it doesn't have to be. It just depends on what you're trying to achieve, right?
Right. I actually, it's a different kind of a tool than Nearpod and Pear Deck because it's not really built to be presentation slides. Yeah. It's built for feedback more. Mm-hmm. But if and again, like a lot of other companies we've talked about, they have a free and a premium account, and their premium account is really reasonable. It's like $20 for a high school teacher. So that's a great price to get. Mm-hmm. Then you can just, drop your homework questions in there and have students quickly fill in their answer, and you can see everyone's homework all at once. I was going to say, I understand your point about maybe it's a little bit clunky to let's all get into Pear Deck or Nearpod, but one of the things that I love about Nearpod that I think people don't realize is that you can ask instant questions for course correction while you're in a made ahead of time Nearpod presentation. Yeah. Right. So you have your formative slides kind of thought out ahead of time, but then if you get an answer that makes you think like, I have a follow-up question to this, you can just go ahead and ask that. And I think a lot of people don't realize that feature exists in Nearpod, and that's such a great feature. Yeah, I agree. I think what I was saying by it being a little bit inconvenient is just that if you weren't initially using Nearpod, because Nearpod is a like lesson delivery tool, whereas the AnswerPad, like you said, is not a lesson delivery tool. It's just a kind of on-the-fly assessment thing. And it doesn't have to be on the fly. It could be a planned thing that you're using along with your lesson. Like you said, like maybe you have your slides up and you have this AnswerPad going kind of in the background to ask questions. But it just depends on what you're trying to achieve. If you're looking for something that's lesson delivery and that sends it to the student's screen, then you want Pear Deck or Nearpod. If you're looking for something that's more geared to just doing those quick formative assessments, then AnswerPad is the way to go. Absolutely. Yeah. So I was just looking over their tools. So they have multiple choice questions, and then true or false questions, fill-in questions, up and down, yes and no. The slider question is the one you talked about where you're sliding it from red to green, and then drawing questions. It was kind of similar to what you were sharing about earlier with Classkick. And the multiple choice questions can be locations on pictures. So this goes along kind of with our diagrams discussion from earlier too. Right, absolutely. And the drawing, so you can send out a blank screen. I do that a lot with my students and have them solve a quick chemistry problem and send it back. But they also have some ready-made backgrounds like a graph. They have clock faces. They have maps. So if you want to just, quick send a map out to everybody and ask questions about, whatever geography you're studying or whatever, they have a lot of cool ready-made backgrounds that are just ready to send out at a moment's notice. Yeah. And then they have more that are the premium versions. Their premium version, I find that not only is the price of the premium fair, but the amount of stuff that's on the free is very fair, which I'd say is pretty true of all these tools, to be honest. But you're losing out on just like a more extensive set of backgrounds, and it'd be nice to have those. But it's certainly nothing where you're like mad at the company for not giving that to you for free. Yeah, definitely. And one other nice thing that's available on the AnswerPad is that you don't have to have like questions on the screen. This could be a paper-based assignment that you're doing a tech-based way of gathering the students' answers. So you could just put up, like let's say they have a homework assignment and then you just want to get a quick snapshot of how everybody did on it. You could just ask them those 10 questions and have them click on what their answers were, A, B, C, or D. And then you get that data really quickly, even though it was a paper-based assignment. Right. AnswerPad even has like a couple of ready-made exit tickets. So you could have, your whole class and then just quickly, instead of collecting those on paper, I'm just going to grab them on the AnswerPad. And they have a screen capture service so that once everyone's in there, if you want to just capture it, you have an image of it that you can think about, after your class is gone that day.
Yeah, right. And I guess technically you could do like a paper-based thing and then assess it in PearDeck and Nearpod as well. I mean, they're not like geared towards it, but there's no reason that the question has to be on the screen. I guess it could be on a piece of paper. So you could do that on any of them, really.
Yeah, sure.
Right. Yeah. And so it really, all of these tools, it comes down to what exactly you're trying to achieve here. Are you trying to get formative data that you're just making decisions on during this class period? Or are you trying to get like longitudinal formative data that you're making like course placement decisions or accommodations or modifications decisions or differentiation decisions based on? Or are you trying to deliver a lesson through this tool? Or are drawings a major part of what you're doing? It really just depends on like what is it you're trying to get to using this tool. So they're all fantastic tools. It just depends on what you're trying to do, right?
Right. I was thinking there's no bad choices, just a lot of good tools. I was kind of thinking like, well, it's like what you said about duct tape before, if you have your purpose in mind, you're going to pick the right tool for the job. And for me, it's like, what is my lever going to be? It really comes back to what we described at the beginning about the podcast and my blog.
Yeah. It doesn't matter which lever, right? You just need a lever, right?
Exactly. Right. You pick the right thing that you need for the job.
Right. And with going, with your metaphor, we're such metaphor nerds here right
now. I know.
but with your metaphor, it starts with that assessment of where you're standing. And so that's why I think you gravitated towards that, is because it's both about selecting a lever that meets your need, but also identifying where you're standing. What is your situation that you're trying to deal with here? And then you pick the lever that meets your need, right?
Absolutely.
We are such nerds, aren't we?
Total nerds.
Total nerds. EDU nerds.
Yes.
All right, Amy. Well, this was a blast. So just to remind everybody, as if we haven't said it enough, you could find Amy's content at a Blever. I was going to say a Blever. Yeah. You could find, I'm leaving that in. You could find Amy's content at a lever and a place to stand.blogspot.com. You could follow her on Twitter at Amy, Roediger. Amy, thanks so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much. I had a blast.
I did too, and I hope everybody did listening. Okay, how awesome was Amy? She's just a blast to talk to and so much fun and so many good ideas. I hope you guys all enjoyed her and are going to go out and follow her on Twitter and tell her what a rock star she was on the show. Speaking of rock stars, let's check out some of our duct taper friends who have shared some content over the last week or so. First up, our Apple Podcast review of the week comes from Jason1973, who said, Jake and his guests are on top of the education game, sharing great ideas, tips, tricks, and resources to use in the classroom and planning. Always coming away with a new idea. Thanks for the great show. Jason, thanks for the great review. I really, really appreciate it. Those of you that have gotten on there on Apple Podcasts and left reviews, I am super appreciative of that. I really am grateful to see them on there. They make me smile when I see them, and they do help other people discover the show. But the best way to help other people discover the show is actually tell them, hey, you should be listening to the Educational Duct Tape Podcast. Grab their phone from them, show them how to open the app up and find a show and start listening, and show them that subscribe button so they keep on coming back. Speaking of sharing about Educational Duct Tape, we do have a lot of people who share about it on Twitter at the hashtag #EduDuctTape. Here are a few of my favorites from the last week. At Mr_Fortney, John said, Beyonce, for sure in the top 10 quotes from this week's hashtag #EduDuctTape podcast. Yeah, that was one that just kind of came out as I was talking there, John. I was talking about how in the adjacent possible theory, it related to evolution and how we had to go from single-cell organisms all the way up to the advanced forms of life we have now, such as Beyonce. And she is quite an advanced form of life. I love you, Beyonce. Maybe she'll be a guest on the show sometime. Let's start a campaign to get her on the show. Next up, at Engage Educate, Laura said, listening to at @CShield on at JakeMillerTech's hashtag #EduDuctTape podcast while I get ready for work and wondering why I'm craving a taco salad for breakfast. And then later in the day, Laura shared that she had that taco salad for dinner that night after craving it all day long after hearing Craig in episode 9 talk about his love of taco salads with turkey instead of beef. I don't know what's up with Craig on that one. Next up, at Wendy Cohen EDU replied to my tweet the other day where I said how odd it felt to tell a joke here alone in my basement in front of a microphone and then have to wait a couple days to find out if you guys laugh at it or not. Her response was, that's exactly what I pictured when you were asking yourself, why did I have to nitpick about the 200 countries on the last episode of #EDU Duct Tape? New listener here, but I'll be tuning in again. Wendy was referring to me calling out Matt Miller in last week's episode on saying that his blog had been viewed in more than 200 countries, and there's not more than 200 countries, but why I called him out on that, I have no idea. Wendy, I'm glad you got a kick out of that because I wanted to crawl back inside of my shell when that happened. Next up, at Conti_Jen, my local Ohioan friend Jennifer tweeted, #super excited to meet at Ann Radefeld today. Thanks to at JakeMillerTech and his #EDU Duct Tape podcast for showcasing her incredible #EdTech talent. #Neotech 2019. So Jen was at our local tech conference, the Neotech conference, and Anne was there presenting. And Jen attended her presentation, then was nice enough to send me a Twitter selfie of the two of them bonding over their educational duct tape listenership. I love seeing these things. So when you bump into other duct tapers out there in the wild, please share with me about it. I love seeing the selfies you guys take in those situations. Speaking of tweeting, we hit the 200 mark this week. 200 different Twitter accounts have tweeted about #EDU Duct Tape, and that doesn't count retweets. 200 people. Here are the newbies for this week. At One Geeky Teacher, at Ann_Ren, but it's a 3 instead of an E. It's almost like she used her password for her handle there. Put a 3 in place of the E. It'll be more secure. At Andrew Bauman, at Aussie Andrew, at Brooksy B. Kramer, at D. McCain1, at D. Mimic, at Jason Bangs, at J. Fortney Tech. Now, John, I don't know if this one counts. You're now tweeting about the show with 2 different handles. So maybe I'm actually at 199 plus a duplicate, a clone of John here. At Joe Marie _Hayes, at Jordan M. Caldwell, at Joy_in_Mudville, at KW Reads, at Alyssa Brunnen, at M_Queen44, at Megan_Ralph, at Mr. Henniger, at Mrs. Clodor, at PROVBONTACI, at Provbontaci, at Robin Renee. I'm sorry for mocking people's names. That's really inconsiderate of me. I just don't know how to pronounce them, so I get goofy. At Steinbrink Laura, at Stottern, Stottern, I don't know, at VRW Jones, and at Wetzel_Jillian. I'm sorry about butchering some of those names in there. It's like a weekly event for me to butcher people's Twitter handles in that segment. Last up, let's visit the Flipgrid for the show, which you could find at eduducttape.com and then clicking on the Flipgrid button or going to flipgrid.com/eduducttape. Either way, when you get there, you could share your thoughts on the show and connect with other members of the Duct Taper community. This week, let's hear what Megan Babolka has to say.
Hi, my name is Megan Babolka. I am from the Chicago area. I like west suburbs, and I am an innovative teaching coach for a 2-school district, pre-K through 8. And I just wanted to say, listening to the first few episodes has been amazing. I get great ideas. I appreciate the way you guys talk about the technology, and it's really easy to listen to and really focused. A few ideas here and there on each podcast really helps for me to focus my attention and energy while listening too. So thank you so much. Keep up the good work. And Twitter handle at Megbub. Bye.
Thanks so much for that, Megan. Thanks for being a listener. Thanks for being a duct taper, and thanks for sharing. The rest of you, please jump on that Flipgrid when you have a chance and share. There's a great spot for sharing questions that will be likely featured in the show in the future, for answering each other's questions you have, for sharing feedback, for suggesting silly things for me to ask during the Which of the Following Would Be Less Torturous segment of the show. Lots of ways to connect and get your voice heard on the show. Before we go out for the week, a couple of quick reminders. Number one, go on to flipgrid.com/AppSmash2019 and check out those 16 awesome entries into the App Smash Madness for 2019. Actually, 15 awesome entries and mine, and then be sure to vote. Next up, if you're interested in the GIF a Day project, you can sign up at jakemiller.net/GIF-A-Day. And finally, if you'd like to join my newsletter to avoid that FOMO or fear of missing out on Jake's gifts and educational duct tape, go to jakemiller.net/newsletter. Hey, look at me finishing the podcast up in less than an hour. This is like a new record for me. I haven't been under an hour in weeks. So that wraps up Educational Duct Tape episode 11. Thank you to Amy for being on the show. Thank you to you guys for listening. I will see you all next week. I won't really see you. You'll hear me. I won't even see you. This is a really odd experience for me, guys. It's just odd. Have a great day.
Thank you for listening to the Educational Duct Tape Podcast. Please visit eduducttape.com to join the discussion, share possible topics, inquire about being a guest, or contact Jake. And remember, duct is spelled with a T, not a quack quack K.